Mall of America already gets more visitors than Disney World and the Grand Canyon. But what they're building right now is on a completely different level. My team has sold over 2,000 homes in this market, and I'm gonna show you what's coming and what it means if you live here or you're thinking about moving here. I hear this all the time. People come in from out of state and they wanna see the Mall of America. And most locals, myself included, just think of it as a big mall. But things change the moment you go inside, you walk in, look up, and it's Nickelodeon universe right in the middle of the mall. So it kind of catches you off guard in a good way. And what's wild is that this used to be a full baseball stadium. This is where the Minnesota Twins and Vikings played, and they actually kept part of it. There's a marker on the floor showing where the home plate used to be right inside the theme park. You've got rides everywhere that go 4 and 5 stories high with kids flying around on roller coasters. So it feels a lot more like a theme park than a mall. That alone covers 7 acres inside the building. So to give you a sense of the scale, that's about 5 city blocks all under one roof, but the entire mall is about 5.6 million square feet. It's massive. And it's all indoors, all climate controlled with 5 roller coasters and a bunch of other rides. And they're also adding a new Avatar themed experience in spring of 2026, which is gonna be pretty cool. The numbers here are what really put it into perspective because Mall of America gets tens of millions of visitors a year, which is more than Disney World and more than the Grand Canyon. Since it opened, over 1 billion people have come through here, and you've got people flying in to see it. Around 40% of visitors are coming from over 150 miles away. This is already a full destination on its own, but in a minute, I'll show you what they're building next because it takes this to a whole different level. So stay with me. And it's not just a park. Since you've got the Sea Life Aquarium in there, holding over 1 million gallons of water and thousands of sea creatures, and that tunnel wraps all the way around you. So you're walking through a long tunnel with sharks and rays right over your head. And it's one of those things where you have to stop for a second and look around. Then you've got Fly Over America, which is basically a flight simulation where you're strapped into a seat, your feet are hanging, and you're looking at this huge screen. So it feels like you're flying over different places. The seats move, you feel the wind. It's a full experience. There are also escape rooms, a bunch of things for kids to do, and even 2 hotels connected right to the mall. So people stay there and make a whole trip out of it. Then add over 50 restaurants and no sales tax on clothing and shoes, which a lot of out-of-state visitors plan for. So the baseline here is already a lot bigger than most people expect. And that's important to understand before we talk about what's being built next. So let's get into that. If you're looking down in the Bloomington and South Metro area and you're thinking about buying around here, it's worth understanding how something like this actually affects home values and demand in places like Bloomington, Eagan, and Richfield. I'm working with buyers in this area every day. So if you want help figuring out what makes the most sense for you, my info is down in the description and please reach out. All right, back to the video. So here's a really cool thing about this. You can literally park at the Mall of America and fly out of the airport. I'm not kidding. And a lot of locals still don't even know this is a thing. They rolled this out earlier in 2026. It's called Park, Shop, Fly. And it's pretty straightforward because you park at the mall overnight for about $12 a night, taxes included, then hop on the blue line straight to the airport. And when you stack that up against airport parking, which is usually closer to $20 to $30 a day, that adds up quickly if you're gone for a few days. But there's no shuttle because the blue line station is right there in the mall. So from the moment you walk in, get on the train, and a couple stops later, boom, you're at Terminal 1. It's quick, it's simple, and you're skipping all the airport parking headaches. They set aside about 900 spots for this in the East Ramp. It's all monitored with cameras and security, and you can book ahead or just show up if there's space. I posted about this on my Instagram and it took off. Over 500,000 views, tons of comments, and the Mall of America even reposted it, which tells you how surprising this actually is. So yeah, this is smart, but it's also a hint of what's coming because the next phase of what they're building here is a lot bigger than most people expect. But I'll break that down in a bit. And the timing isn't random either, since some of the older airport parking lots around here are getting pushed toward redevelopment. So while that's happening, Mall of America steps in and picks up that demand. And that same kind of move shows up in what they're building next. There's a massive indoor water park coming to the Mall of America, which has been in the works for a long time. There was even a version of this proposed back in 2018, but it got delayed for years before the financing finally came together. The company that owns the Mall of America has been pushing for this for years, and now it's finally moving forward, it seems like. It's called Mystery Cove. The city approved the financing in 2025, and construction is expected to start spring of 2026 with an opening around 2029. So this is actually happening. Now let me break this down because the size takes a second. The main indoor area alone is around 143,000 square feet with a retractable glass roof over it. And the full building gets close to 220,000. That's like really big for something fully indoors. And it connects straight to the mall with an enclosed skyway, so you can go from a roller coaster to a water slide to dinner to your hotel, all without stepping outside. Inside, you've got over 30 slides and water rides, a wave pool that's over 50,000 square feet with a full themed ship in the middle, and a lazy river that runs about 1,400 feet, almost 4 football fields just for that. The whole park is set up in themed zones. You've got names like Fortune Falls, Peril Peak, stuff like that, and each one has its own look and feel. And the style they're going for is more of that old school adventure vibe, like 1950s exploration, vintage travel posters, that kind of feel. There's an actual concept behind it, so it's not just bright colors and slides everywhere. There are also multiple pools, spa areas, and a full splash zone for families, with space for around 3,000 people at a time. Now this is what everybody seems, but what happens around it is actually what affects prices, traffic, and where people are moving. But I'll tell you about that in a minute, so stick with me. And this is what stands out. The roof opens, so in the summer, it feels like an outdoor water park. But in the middle of winter, when it's freezing outside, you're still inside, warm, riding slides, and floating down a lazy river. That's kind of the whole idea here, year round, no matter the weather. The total project is around $432 million, where about $160 million of that is coming from a tax structure tied to the mall itself. So it's not coming out of the city's general budget. The mall is basically reinvesting its own growth, and that funding structure is a big part of why this is finally moving forward after being delayed for so long. And that's what sets up everything coming next. So here's where this gets a lot bigger. Everything we just talked about, the water park, the slides, the wave pool, the 2029 opening, that's just the first piece, which is phase 1. They've already shared the full plan under something called MOA tomorrow. And once you see that, the water park starts to feel like it's only the beginning. Phase 2 adds a lot more, from hotels, an NHL-sized arena for public skating, spaces for events and shows, more retail, spa areas, and even office space. They're also planning things like a tournament space for youth athletes and large event spaces. So it's not just shopping and attractions. It's built to host bigger events too. The goal is to balance the whole property, so it's about half shopping and half entertainment. And they've said pretty clearly that what's coming next leans heavily into sports and entertainment, not just retail. When you stack that on top of what's already there, the indoor theme park, the aquarium, the hotels, the light rail, even the parking setup we talked about, you start to see what they're building toward. It's a place where you can fly into MSP, go straight to the mall, check into a hotel, and spend a few days there without needing a car, then head back to the airport and fly home, which is a kind of setup that doesn't really exist anywhere else in the Midwest right now. Their own projections say this could bring in another 20 million visitors a year and almost double the economic impact for the state, where a big portion of those visitors is expected to come from outside the region. And if you're living in or looking at the South Metro, that kind of growth around Bloomington is something to pay attention to. The city actually has a plan for this area, the South Loop District, which is everything around MOA near the airport and being planned as a more walkable area with new development, more density, and better transit connections. So it's the whole area around it getting built up at the same time, which is a bigger shift than it might look like at first. That space starts getting repurposed and options like this become even more valuable. This isn't something that's waiting years to start showing up, because in 2026, stores like J. Crew and Banana Republic are coming back. Mango has already moved in, and Primark is moving in as well, and it's actually the first time here in Minnesota. A lot of these brands are using the Mall of America as their entry point into the market, which tells you how they're positioning the space going forward. So even before the big construction wraps up, you can already see where this is gonna be going. If you look at this overall, it's gonna feel a little different depending on how you use the area. If you're coming in from out of town, it's pretty straightforward because you've got a water park that's open year round, connected to a theme park, restaurants, shopping, and hotels all in one place. It turns this into somewhere you actually plan a few days around, and at that point, it starts to feel closer to something you'd actually travel for. The city is expecting the water park alone to bring in over 650,000 visitors a year, which is a lot of people coming into one area, and they don't just stay inside the mall. They go out to nearby hotels, restaurants, and local spots. So places like Bloomington, Eagan, Richfield, along I-5, 494, all of that starts to feel more activity. And that kind of activity tends to build on itself with more visitors, meaning more spending, more business revenue, more tax base, and that usually leads to more investments in the area over time. Now, if you live here, it shows up a little differently. You're gonna notice more traffic around the mall, busier restaurants, just more people in general, especially during peak times. The blue line will pick up more riders too, which is good overall, but if you use it often as is, you'll feel that day to day. And the retail mix starts to change a bit too. Less of the quick errand type stores, more things built for people spending the day there. And keep in mind, Bloomington already carries a lot of weight in the metro since it's one of the larger suburbs here, right along a major job corridor. And the Mall of America already supports thousands of jobs as it is. Home values here have been moving up steadily too, with the single family homes up around 3% year over year, with median values sitting in the mid 300s to low 400s. And this is happening before any of the new development is even built. There's also a lot of money going into this: construction, financing, long-term development, and that ties directly into more jobs and growth around the area. So this isn't starting from zero. And there's a balance here that's worth thinking about, because the Mall of America has always been easy. You go, walk around, grab something to eat, and head out. The parking setup we talked about works because of that, because simple, and now they're adding more of a destination feel with more people flying in, staying longer, and spending more time there. So over time, both of these things are gonna be happening at the same time. The everyday version people use, and the bigger version that's bringing in visitors. If you're thinking about living anywhere around this area, that's something you want to have in the back of your mind. Mall of America has been trying to do this for decades, and now it's finally moving. So by the end of this decade, this whole area is going to look very different. If you're thinking about buying in Bloomington, Eagan, Richfield, or really anywhere in the South Metro and want to know what this development actually means for the neighborhoods you're considering or maybe even selling in, email me today and I'll give you a real breakdown of what's available right now. This is the kind of market moment where getting in front of the information matters. And if you want to keep going on this, I've linked a video right here breaking down nearly $2 billion in upgrades at the MSP airport and the South Metro suburbs closest to it that a lot of buyers do overlook. Thanks for watching this one, and I'll see you guys in the next one.